Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Mite No podcast. It's me, your favorite Lich Jr., and I am joined today by PNG Rudy. Say hello, PNG Rudy.
Hello, it's been years since I was last on here.
It it has been a hot moment since we recorded a session. It might not feel that way to the upload schedule, but it has been. So we are back with episode, God, 21? 21, I think. Of the Mite Mite podcast, where today we will be quickly covering episodes 101 through to 105. Let's dive right into it because these episodes are like partially filler. Um, from my recollection of them, there are scenes in them that are canon, and there are scenes in them which are filler. So in episode 101, titled Heat Haze Duel Ace versus Scorpion Man, which is just a fucking an Oda name if there ever was one, even though this is filler. Um, we see the group of our protagonists continuing their travels through the Alabasta Desert, but unawares to them, they are being hunted by a man named Scorpion, a bounty hunter who, for some reason, is trying to hunt Ace. I mean, he has a bounty clearly, but he seems to be making this personal. And he's accompanied by his ostrich named Popo, who wears a helmet. Um, he catches our protagonist unaware and tries to use a rocket launcher on them, and his ostrich sneezes at the fuse. And they're just kind of shtick. Um, During all this shtick where Scorpion is failing to shoot Ace with a rocket launcher, the Straw Hats are bickering over food and getting into fights. And Vivi is laughing and interacting with Nami, and they're taking a moment to look at Ace and see how different and how calm he is than all of this. Um, we cut back over to Scorpion during all of this, uh, who is once again prepping to shoot the group as they're getting ready to set off towards Yuba. And they all start getting ready to set up as well when two shadows appear from behind some of the rocks without anyone noticing. Um, and they realize that a piece of meat is being stolen. Luffy does, of course, because it's meat and it's moving. Um, so he chases after the floating mystery meat, and it appears that to be revealed to be a group of boys, two boys, who are starving and they haven't eaten in 10 days. Um, as the party sort of catches up to them. And Ace asks them if they came from the Badland. Um, and they seem to get a little scared of Ace for knowing a bit more about it. And eventually, the eldest of the two brothers pulls a gun on Ace, which, what the fuck is a gun gonna do to Ace?
Mm.
And they basically try and get the boys to figure out what's going on. When they realize that this is actually Ace, they ask him if they could help him capture someone. And they show him a picture of the bounty hunter who's been hunting Ace, this scorpion man. Um, and at this point, Ace reveals that he has been, well, he's already revealed at this point, I believe, that he's been hunting a man named Blackbeard, uh, an ex member of his own crew, the Whitebeard Pirates. But uh, at one point, Blackbeard came here, and Ace says that Scorpion, he believes in the rumors, was the person who beat Blackbeard and pushed him out of Yuba. So he wants to find this person to see if he can find any clue about where Blackbeard went. And also, if this man actually defeated Blackbeard, he must be pretty strong because we don't know anything about Blackbeard yet, except for Ace is hunting him and taking it very seriously, which means he's probably pretty strong. Um, Luffy ends up finding Scorpion without really realizing what's going on, and they have a bit of a back and forth. Eventually, Scorpion explained that he's a bounty hunter and he's hunting Ace. He's going to find and kill Ace, which Luffy finds incredibly funny. Um, at which point, Ace spots Luffy and Scorpion approaching the group, and Scorpion approaches, and so they're about to have a real fight. They square off with each other, and of course, Ace quickly knocks this idiot out, and is confirmed that this man could not possibly have defeated Blackbeard as he is incredibly weak. And this is revealed to us now that the boys are in fact his son, um, and who basically he took to bounty hunting uh, when their farm went to shit, and he said he would hunt down Ace to make their family rich. But of course, he is no match for Ace, and he kind of won't give up on the idea that he can do this. Um, and he ends up dropping his rocket launcher, which causes a bunch of rocks to explode and almost hurt the children and him. But of course, Ace saves them. However, Ace, at this point, realizes that Blackbeard is long gone and there is no one here who actually defeated Blackbeard who can assist him in the hunt. So he prepares to depart from the story. But he gives Luffy a piece of paper and tells Luffy that the next time it'll see each other, it will be at the top of the Pirates Summit. And he says that this paper will be able to help Luffy find him one day. And that's put a pin in that, kids. That's important. And that's the episode. So the whole shit with Scorpion, I believe, is like 100% filler. But the scene with the paper and that is all canon and very important. I don't remember reading the stuff with Scorpion in the manga. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've read manga
I'm trying
from
to
chapter
remember
1.
what. Oh, right. Yeah, I remember Scorpion now. I was like, wait, was this the guy on the rocks? I was like, yeah, it's the guy on the rocks.
Yes. So Ace leaves and we will not we will not see Ace again in the story for a long time.
Upsetting. I liked Ace.
Well, that's just the way the news goes with One Piece. Uh, there will be another season with him at some point, but it will not be with the cast and crew. And I don't think we get some proper Ace time until like episode like 400 and something.
Hmm.
It is a ways away. There is one decent episode where we get to see Ace doing some more stuff, but for the most part, he is out of the story at this point. Um,
Hmm.
and that is that episode. It's been a long time since we watched these episodes because again, we watched them like literally months ago, and then just life happens sometimes, and it's hard to record, especially when the two people recording live on opposite sides of the world. Um, so honestly, I don't think for these 5 episodes we're gonna have too much to say. It's kind of hard to get Rudy's fresh opinion on them as a new first-time watcher when it was so long ago. And for the most part, they're filler. So for me, they're just kind of like the anime episodes that just sort of buzz over my brain a little bit.
Hmm.
But I don't believe they're all filler. Now, let's just dive right into the next episode. Unless there's something you want to add to the whole Ace thing. You do seem to be a fan of Ace. Would you say he's one of your favorite characters in the story so far?
I mean, I don't know if I'd say that, but I do like Ace, yes.
That's good. I like Ace too. I actually have an Ace hoodie that looks very sick. Uh, it's
Hmm.
quite good. And I like Ace. I think he's a little too perfect sometimes, but I like Ace in general. So taking us straight into episode 102 at breakneck speed, we are going to devour this episode because this shit is all filler, and it's not only just all filler, but it's filler that's super confusing because it fucks with canon. Um, so we will talk about that, but the actual recap of the episode, nothing fucking happens, basically. They continue traveling towards Yuba, and Luffy is, of course, super dehydrated, so he's, hallucinating and throwing punches at things that aren't there. Nami sends Zoro and Chopper to get him, but Chopper is, of course, collapsed in the heat. So Zoro tries to take care of Luffy, and of course, Luffy, Zoro, and Chopper end up, you know, lost as they do.
Hmm.
Luffy starts trying to fight Zoro, thinking he's Crocodile, And Zoro's kind of avoiding it until Luffy like hits him, and Zoro realizes he's really trying to hurt him, and Zoro's like, "Hold up, that hurt." So they get into a bit of a fist fight, and they sort of both knock each other out. And Chopper ends up waking up and is sort of confused by all of this. Um, they try to get up to the group following the footsteps, but of course the wind blows it away. We eventually cut away from them and we see Nami and Vivi, and they're sort of talking about Vivi's anxieties about their country and how their country works, and how basically big, great kingdoms are built on this country, and they ebb and wane, basically. They wax and wane. There are these great kingdoms that are born in Alabasta, and they all turn to dust eventually. The only thing that stays the same in the country is the people. But the kingdoms, the lines, and the sand, and the cities, and everything, they all come and go. And she's worried that all of this tumultuous times will mean the end of her father's rule, the end of the kingdom the Nefertari family has built, and whatnot. And she's just anxious. And Nami assures her that Luffy will kick Crocodile's butt, but she's still worried. Um, so Zoro and Luffy end up waking up, and Luffy is confused and annoyed that they're lost, and Zoro's also annoyed because Luffy caused it. And they have this cute little bonding moment where they talk about how they joined the crew, and Zoro mentions how everyone has their own different goals, but the fact that they all have these goals to be the best at what they do is something that sort of binds the crew together. And then this leads us to the scene that is whole fucks types of non-canon from my understanding, and kind of fucks up a lot of stuff, where the group end up in a cave, and inside this cave they see this massive stone brick with these weird etchings in it, which they don't know anything about, but it seems like immune to all damage, and it's just this pure, beautiful, impervious stone monolith. Uh, this is something that is important to the future of One Piece. And later, they will find more of these things with someone who can even read them. But the problem is that they act like they've never seen them before, but they've seen this one in the filler. And they act like it's not a thing that they've ever encountered before, but they have. It's a weird inclusion in the filler. I I guess you can kind of hand wave it that it's Luffy and Zoro who find it, who are idiots and wouldn't care. But Chopper also finds it, and Chopper isn't an idiot. He's a little immature, but he would understand what's going on. And it's about this point where Chopper catches the scent of Nami's very rancid perfume on the wind, and he manages to get the group back together. And they do have this moment when they're reaffirming their loyalties to each other, and they're sure that they won't have to worry because they can overcome anything together. And that's the episode. Like that's like a 4 minute recap of a whole lot of fuck nothing. We don't progress the story in any way. We don't get any closer to Yuba. It's literally just a weird detour to remind the viewers how the crew all came together and what their individual goals are, and just sort of reaffirm that, while also introducing the concept of these stone monoliths to the viewers. But for some reason, because it's not canon, it's a weird include. Do you remember this
Hmm.
episode at all, Rudy?
No, I kind of just remember Scorpion on the rocks, Port goes the Ace defeats him, and then they walk along to Cuba. That's about it. That's the extent that my memory goes. They're still walking to Cuba.
Yeah, I mean that's basically all that they're doing. They're just moving through the sand and stuff is happening around them. For the most part, that is how it goes at this point.
Mm.
But with the next episode, we are out of the filler, which is good. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so diving straight ahead, because we're gonna set records with this Mite no podcast episode. This will be an episode that people might actually finish. Because it won't be an hour and a half long. Episode 103, At the Spiders Cafe, the enemy ringleaders meet at 8 o'clock. So this is an episode where Baroque Works plans start to sort of begin taking effect, and the number agents all gather to meet Mr. Zero. Um, for the first time, because again, no one in Baroque Works knows they're working for Crocodile except for Mrs. All Sunday. Like everyone else has no idea who Mr. Zero is. The only one who is aware of this fact is his right hand woman.
Mm.
Which I love. I love that Crocodile is just an absolute drama queen. Um, about all of this. I just really like it. So Luffy,
Mhm.
it opens with Luffy looking at the piece of paper that Ace gave him. He wonders why he gave it to him and what it is. Um, the rest of the crew just think it's a piece of paper. I don't know why Vivi doesn't know what it is. Vivi should definitely know what it is, but she doesn't tell them. I don't know. It's one of those things where maybe Vivi knows and doesn't tell them, like she does sometimes, like about the scorpions and other shit she does. Um, they know that Yuba is just past a distant rock coming up ahead, and then we cut away to Crocodile's lair, where he and Miss All Sunday are discussing their plans. Um, she says that their preparations are in place and that they can carry out their plans in 2 days. Crocodile seems happy and wants everyone to meet at the Spider Cafe to meet him. The Spider Cafe starts gathering, and the only one left to meet is Mr. One. The other agents are starting to get impatient and just want to leave. We meet Mr. Two again, who we'd already seen before, Bon Clay, one of my personal favorite One Piece characters. Him and his men are
Mm.
putting on a dance show. At which point, Mr. Two shows up and ends up knocking out one of Mr. Two's men. They get into a fight. Um, but Miss Doublefinger, Mr. One's partner, quickly puts an end to all of that. And they received words to head to Rain Base to meet the boss. And the carriage they're in sets off because the cafe they're in is also a carriage. I don't know why Crocodile decided to have all these meetings in his personal casino. It kind of gives away who the boss is. Like they will act like surprised later, but if your boss is
Mm.
making you meet in the secret underground of a pirate run casino, who do you think your boss is? I don't know. It's just kind of stupid.
Pirate, probably, common sense.
Yeah, it's just kind of stupid, but that's fine. Luffy and the gang make it to Yuba, which is being ravaged by a sandstorm. After it stops, they find out that Yuba has been abandoned. It is no longer the oasis they were expecting. The only person left is the founder, who is a very old, thin man. And they find out that the rebel army has relocated to Katoria, which, if you remember the map of Albasto, which I don't, is all the way back fuck the way they came. Um, when Luffy calls over to Vivi, the old man recognizes her, and she realizes that he is Toto from her youth, the fat man, whose son is the leader of the rebel army, the kind man who is her dear friend's father. And this kind of makes Vivi break down a little bit because he's lost all of his weight. He looks haggard and horrible. There's a flashback of Vivi and their sons playing together when they're younger, and we again get the scene where Toto and the other refugees leave the capital to go found Yuba, um, and they part ways to build this city. So the crew
Mm.
decides to stay in Yuba for the night, and Toto shares stories about how great Yuba was before the 3 years of drought. Uh, and everyone decides to sleep for the night, and that's basically the episode. So we get to
Wow.
see a little
Sounds
bit
like
more
fun.
of the cast of characters for Baroque Works. We get to see the other numbered agents. Basically, we get to see the
Mm.
tournament arc for this arc. We get the antagonist set up, and it's time to draw straws and pick which straw hat you're gonna fight everyone. Um, like
Mm.
we're getting our rogues gallery for the climax of this arc. Um, and we get to see what has happened to Toto in the last 3 years with this drought and what has pushed the
Mm.
rebel army to do what it's doing. We see that this bustling oasis city that they built themselves has been completely destroyed and ravaged, and the founder has lost all of his body weight, and he's just skin and
I will,
bones.
mm, I will
Yo
say
ho.
that of the 5 episodes we watched last time, from what I remember, I think I liked 104 the most, mainly because of one certain event.
Ah, we will get to 104, and it is a good episode. Uh, I don't think it made me cry this time I watched it, but I might have teared up a little bit because it's a good moment. Let's dive right into it then, because 103 is again more setup. It is canon, but it's more just setup. So episode 104. Sorry, there's a train going by right now. I hope my connection doesn't get a little too fucky wucky. Luffy versus Tearful Valve comrades. This episode is again very short because it's mostly just a conversation between two groups of characters.
Hmm.
Um, like the whole episode is sort of summarized in like a single paragraph in my notes. Like it's super quick. Luffy learns from Toto that he was entrusted by Koba to watch over the land and figures out a way to stop the sandstorm. And then we cut away from Luffy and Toto bonding, which is super important, by the way. And we go to Rain Dinners, where the agents have now officially learned that Mr. Zero is actually Crocodile. And they determine that they are going to overthrow the country. This is where they're finally learning the actual goal of all of the things they've been doing. Because they just follow orders. They understand there's a greater picture, but they also understand that it's not their place to know it until they're told it. However, this war meeting is interrupted by Mr. Three, who survived, of course, um, and is not dead. Uh, to which Crocodile is perturbed because he was pretty sure he ordered Mr. Three killed. Um, and
Hmm.
Mr. Three reveals that the Straw Hats survived and got away, which really pisses up Crocodile because he thought Mr. Three told him that the Straw Hats were dead. So not only did he fail, which Crocodile already kind of assumed Mr. Three had failed. Again, it's a weird thing where like Sanji acting as Mr. Three convinced Crocodile that the Straw Hats were dead, which Crocodile believed, but Crocodile also tried to have Mr. Three killed even though he did the thing correctly. It's a weird thing where like
Hmm.
Crocodile chose to kill one of his highest ranked agents, like
Hmm.
for no reason, just arbitrarily. Like he, as far as Crocodile knows in the story at this point, Straw Hat Luffy is dead. He does not have to worry about this shit anymore. Vivi is a non-issue. She is dead because that is what he thinks Mr. Three told him. And he believes that because finding out in this moment that that's not true really fucking trips him up. But it's this thing where,
Hmm.
like, if you believe Mr. Three didn't fuck up, why did you try to assassinate one of your best agents for doing the job you told him to do? I don't know. I wouldn't run this business the way Crocodile runs this business. What can I say? Um, so
I will,
Crocodile
I
get.
will, I will,
Go ahead.
oops, sorry, I will say my favorite part, because he's already said he tried to kill Mr. Three. I will say my favorite part is when Mr. Three was thrown into the crocodile tank.
Yes, that comes up next. So Crocodile uses his devil fruit power, which we're not entirely sure what it is yet because it hasn't been explained. But he grabs a hold of Mr. Three, and it sort of like sucks all the moisture out of him. And then he drops him into the. They're not crocodiles, by the way. They're banana. They're banana dials or banana wani,
Oh, oh, whoops.
which are giant sea king eating crocodiles with banana shaped growths on their head. Um, so he drops him down there to be food for them. Um, Crocodile has missiles on it, tell the Rebel Army to kill everyone on sight. And then we cut away as the Strats depart for Kitoria, but Luffy stops. He refuses to keep going. And we get to what I believe might be Rudy's favorite moment because it's probably a lot of people's favorite moment here. Um, and Phoebe's like, "What's going on? We have to keep going." And Luffy basically says, "No." And it becomes a fight between Luffy and Vivi over what to do. Luffy plans to go and defeat Crocodile and denounces that Vivi's plan to stop the rebel army as naive, which it definitely is. Um, and because Vivi is just expecting to get in front of an army of 100,000 people and just stop them by being there. Um, and it sort of gets revealed throughout all of this that Vivi, again, through taking all this on herself, is trying to do this in a way where the only life being risked is hers. She wants to put herself alone in front of the rebel army and talk them down. And if that goes wrong and she ends up getting, killed or trampled by the army, at least it's only her, which is really pissing Luffy off at this point because they're friends, they're Nakama, they're comrades. She should be risking their life too because their lives together are one thing to him. Um,
Mm.
and it shows that she isn't trusting her friends to do what needs to be done. And it's a really tearful moment where like Vivi is like attacking Luffy, which of course doesn't fucking do anything. It's Luffy. And it's one of those really good moments where Luffy sees the problem, knows the answer to the problem, is right, and has to really get that across to someone else. Which is, a great Luffy moment. It's a great Vivi moment. It's a great Luffy Vivi moment. And, she's moved to tears with Luffy's declaration and agrees that he's right. If they're going to do this, the only way to for sure stop it is to take out the head of the snake, basically. And that's the
Mm.
episode. They agree that they're going to change plans and go deal with Crocodile.
Okay.
Was that the moment you liked the most, or was it Mr. 3 being tossed in the crocodiles?
It was with streaming. That's into a
Really,
tank.
really. Oh, I find this scene so much better as just an emotional beat because it's. I personally love this scene because it's one of those moments where Luffy is very lucidly intelligent and in a very tactician kind of way that we don't normally get to see with Luffy. It's it's not even that Luffy has thought this through. It's one of those moments where Luffy instinctually knows what the right thing to do is and
Mm.
stubborn enough to force other people to realize that as well. And I love that. And it's just a good scene for me. Mr. 3 being tossed in the pit is very good though.
Mm-hmm.
And that's episode 104. We only got one more to go and we're only a half an hour in. We are like I don't think we're going to break
I
our
might
record.
get
I think our
them half
record's
an
like
hour.
45 minutes.
Quickest One Piece podcast ever created.
I don't know about that. I think I could recap all of One Piece in 5 minutes. I don't think it'd be any good, but I think I could do it.
I, I can recap the whole of One Piece in like 10 seconds. Luffy is a kid who grows up to be a pirate and tries to find the One Piece. That's the whole of One Piece right there.
True. So speaking of the whole of One Piece, episode 105 and the last episode for this uh podcast is using the word episode when you're in an episode gets confusing. The Arabasta Warfront, City of Dreams, Rain Base. So the Straw Hat Pirates head to Rain Base to take down Crocodile and Baroque Works, um, which is great. We get the confirmation of Vivi agreeing with Luffy that in order to stop the rebellion, they need to stop Crocodile because it's clear that he has agents in the rebel army, right? Like he is the instigator of all of Alabasta's pain. Um, he is the weird, shitty Blofeld from the live action from the recent James Bond movies with Daniel Craig to to Luffy's James Bond. Like he is the orchestrator of all of their pain. Um, and
Mm.
the only way to stop that, to break Baroque Works, is to break the person feeding out the missions because they all come from him. If they can destroy Baroque works, it can weaken the people who are trying to do things because they don't really know what they're doing. Again, the only people at all who understand what the plan is now are the numbered agents. The billions and the millions, they have no idea what the fuck they're doing. They're just doing what they're told. So they decide to
Mm.
go to Rain Base, and the way to stop the fighting from happening is to take out Crocodile. Um, so basically, the Rain Base is about a days away, so they begin heading there. Usopp throughout this trip is trying to get a sip of water from Luffy's water, which was given to him by Toto. However, Toto dug for that water all night, and it's a beautiful scene where he's like decrying nature, basically, and saying that his spirit and the spirit of the people of this land won't be broken by this drought. It won't be broken by this war. He'll get water out of this ground again. And if you try to stop him, he'll just dig deeper. Um, and he gave that water to Luffy in a little container, which Luffy has been super protective of,
Mm.
which is great. We cut away to Katoria, where a boy is begging the leader of the rebel army, Koza, to join the fight. Koza, of course, is trying to dissuade the boy, uh, and he explains to them that none of the rebels want to fight. They are doing it because they have to. Uh, they're not trying to fight out of any desire to fight. It's because they believe this is the only option. It's not something they want to do. It's something they have to do. Um, he tells the boy to leave, and he begins talking to his plan about their plan to attack Alubarda and invade it, and beginning their attack with the all-out attack on the capital. We cut away from the rebels to Alubarda, where Chaka is suggesting to Cobra that they need to take actions towards the rebel army before they can attack the capital. However, Cobra refuses to attack the rebels, as it will just destroy the fucking kingdom. Uh,
Mm.
because of course it will. Those rebels aren't some foreign force. If he sends an army to deal with the rebels, it's basically saying, "Hey, all of my armed soldiers, go kill your neighbors, cousins, and friends." Right? He's trying to avoid that as much as possible. He recalls the dance powder incident and surmises that since the incident, someone has been trying to tear about their country, which they have, and he's convinced they have to determine who is behind it. Chaka argues that whoever is behind it has not made themselves known, and that they cannot sit back and wait for whoever it is to divide them. Uh, but Cobra is adamant that they can't act. If it means waiting for them to come and attack them, so be it. Uh, Chaka and Pell are discussing Vivi and Ingram's efforts to determine the mastermind of the turmoil. A palace guard informs them that Karoo has returned. We haven't seen Karoo in a while, and they rush Karoo to find the letter that Vivi wrote them, informing them that Crocodile is without a doubt the person behind destroying the Alabasta Kingdom. She tells them that Ingram died protecting her, and furthermore, she says that they have teamed up with an amazing group of people who will help her save Arabasta.
Mm.
So, now that Cobra understands what's going on, he orders his forces to move towards Rain Base. But Chaka and Pell try to discourage that, saying that they will have to plan the attack on Crocodile because he has the heart of the citizens. Because Crocodile is orchestrating the pain of the citizens. It's kind of like what do they call it? Hero syndrome, which is a horrible thing that some people like firefighters get, where they will start setting fires to be the first responder to put out the fire and be a hero. It's a fucked up
Mm.
psychological thing that happens to real people, and it's super tragic. Uh, but like Crocodile is kind of doing that. He's creating strife all across Alabasta and then solving it himself before the army has a chance to respond to win the hearts of the people, to give himself sort of like diplomatic immunity, more than being a warlord of the sea already gives him. However,
Mm.
he plans to move his army there, and they're like, but if you move all the army out of here, the rebels will come and seize the capital. To which Cobra very coolly replies, he doesn't care if the rebel destroys the palace, it's only a building. It's the lives of the people that matter. He doesn't care. They can have the city. And you know what? I really like Cobra. And he's convinced that if they battle the rebel army, Crocodile will win. because that's all Crocodile wants. He wants these two armies to fight. He wants them killing each other. He wants the country to be torn apart and weak. If Cobra can just ignore the rebel army and let them do whatever the fuck they want, he can focus on stopping the actual target. However, we get to Rain Base where Luffy's group has finally arrived, and they plan to lay low since they are under the assumption that Crocodile knows they are in the island. However, of course, Luffy and Usopp loudly enter the bar where Smoker and Tashigi are staying, and inadvertently end up right beside them. So of course they run into each other, and Luffy and Usopp have to flee the Marines who are chasing them now. And they of course lead the other members directly to Chopper. And the rest of the crew. So they decide to split up and meet at Rain Dinners, the casino where Crocodile is. Uh, so Chopper returns from the restroom and finds out that everyone has disappeared. So he can tell that they're all running in different directions. So he imagines there's a purpose for it. He picks up some of their scent and begins heading off after them. Luffy is of course being chased by Smoker, but he manages to lose him temporarily. While Vivi and Zoro are being chased by Marines, Vivi lets Zoro lets Vivi go on ahead without him. But of course, when faced with Tashigi, he also runs away, unable to handle the confrontation with her because he looks like Kueta. He still can't deal with her yet. He does grow out of that, I believe. Uh, it just takes 15 years of anime to do that. Usopp, Nami, and Sanji are being pursued by Marines, but Sanji asks Usopp to protect Nami so he can deal with the Marines. They arrive at the dinners and find Zoro there, which is a fucking miracle. I don't know how the fuck Zoro got there, but whatever. Sometimes Oda forgets that Zoro's superpower is getting lost. Um, and Luffy arrives shortly after, but again, he's being chased by Smoker. And the four of them decide to escape the casino with the other people going in to escape Smoker. Uh, Inside, Crocodile and Miss All Sunday are aware that the Straw Hats have entered the casino, and they plan to give them a warm welcome. And that is our setup. How did you like this episode?
I'll be honest, I completely forgot about it.
That's
105, I completely forgot about everything that happened, so I don't really have anything to say on it, to be honest.
that's fair. Episode 105 isn't nearly as strong as 104. Uh, for many reasons, but 105 is important for me personally because um it sets up a scene which is like one of my favorite scenes in One Piece because I'm a dirty shipper and we're going to be getting to like a really good shipping scene soon. Uh and it's like one of my favorite moments in One Piece, so I'm excited for that. But yeah, those are our block of episodes. We are diving headlong towards the climax of the second arc of One Piece, Rudy. You're almost there. We're almost at the end of the Alabasta arc, and we'll get to move into
Wow.
some crazy shit after that. Uh, I don't know if we're gonna record next week. I'm available, of course, but
Hmm.
you know, Rudy, hopefully you
No
might
idea.
be able to.
Might be able to. Yeah.
Good, and we'll have fresh eyes on the next 5 episodes of One Piece, and we'll be able to
And
give.
hopefully, just hopefully I remember everything this time because it was very hazy for these last five because it was so long since I'd watched them.
Well, we're gonna be watching these episodes fresh before our recording,
Mm,
which will be super helpful for both of us, so I don't have to go off my pen scratch notes. I will still make my pen scratch notes, but they will be more fresh in my mind, of course. Um,
yes.
I want to thank everyone for coming by to the Mite No podcast. Sorry for the long break. It might not seem like a long break for you, but it was a long break for us. It was definitely felt. I love talking One Piece with Rudy and anyone for that matter. And I'm super excited. We need to hurry up and finish all of this so we can go on to reviewing the movies and the live action and everything else.
Oh god, the movie is right. Yeah, it seems like we've already passed like two of those.
Yes, we'll do the movies in whenever we do get to doing the movies, we will do them in chronological order. But yeah, we are well past like the first 3 movies or so.
Yes, I just looked up like a timeline. We passed like 5 OVAs and 2 movies.
Yeah. Thankfully, none of them are canon. So, ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. All right, that's gonna be me. That's the Mite Mite No podcast. We gotta end this. Say goodbye, Rudy.
Bye bye.
Oh, you didn't say goodbye, Rudy. Oh no, the steam's gonna implode.